Bells of the empty harbor. The harbor lies in hushed exile, where wooden piers stretch like fragile bones into a sea that remembers more than it speaks. The bells, once voices of arrival and departure, swing silently in the windless air, their echoes swallowed by fog and salt. They are sentinels of absence, mourning ships that no longer carve trails across the water, sailors who left footprints in the mist and vanished. Each toll, though unheard, vibrates in the marrow of the town, an invisible rhythm that marks the passage of forgotten days. The harbor itself is a cathedral of memory, its waters a mirror of ghosts, reflecting empty decks and skeletal cranes. Gulls circle above like prayerful spirits, their cries harmonizing with the silence, composing hymns only the lonely can discern. Time drifts differently here. The tide moves like a slow heartbeat, pulsing against the walls with the patience of eternity. Every rope that sags, every barnacle-encrusted piling, tells a story of hands that once labored with hope and now rest beneath the weight of absence. The bells hang in their iron frames, their clappers poised but unmoved, as if waiting for something that will never return, an echo of life in a place suspended between memory and oblivion. And yet, in the emptiness, there is a strange beauty. The harbor is not dead, but dreaming. Light fractures on the water in 1,000 fractured pieces, and the wind, when it comes, whispers secrets that are older than the first ship that ever moored here. The bells, though silent, are not mute. They speak in subtle shifts, the sway of a rope, the creak of timber, the shimmer of the sea at dawn. They remind us that absence is not the end but a resonance, a lingering music that teaches the heart to listen. In the empty harbor, every silence is a story, every shadow a hymn, and the bells ring not with sound, but with the weight of all that once was, and all that might have been.
Bells of the empty harbor. First sound was not the crash of waves, nor the cry of seabirds. It was a bell, a single, mournful toll drifted through the mist, carrying with it the weight of centuries. The harbor stretched ahead, shrouded in ghostly fog. Tall, broken masts jutted out of the water like the ribs of sunken giants, their sails torn and rotting, whispering stories of forgotten voyages. The smell of salt and rust was heavy in the air, and the ocean itself seemed to breathe slowly, as if holding secrets beneath its black surface. Mora's boots touched the warm planks of the harbor dock. Each creak underfoot sounded like a sigh from a restless soul. Her companions followed in silence, Leo with his playful sparks dimmed to faint glimmers, Thorn with his hand resting cautiously on his sword hilt, Cerise walking with sharp, deliberate steps, and Ilex trailing behind, his hands glowing faintly, tracing wards in the air to push back the creeping chill. An empty harbor, Leo whispered, his voice swallowed by fog. No boats, no people, but a bell that rings itself. Myra crouched near the edge of the dock, peering into the dark waters. Faint ripples danced on the surface, glowing silver for an instant before fading into blackness. The horizon, which had been their guide for so long, was obscured now, replaced by an endless blanket of mist. The harbor is not empty, Myra murmured. It is listening. They walked deeper into the harbor town, a skeletal place where buildings leaned like tide sent unnels, windows stared blankly, and lanterns swung in the mist, though no wind stirred them. The bell tolled again, deep and resonant, vibrating through their bones. Then they saw it, a massive bell tower rising from the center of the docks, its shape barely visible through the fog. Chains swayed, but no ringer stood within. The bell tolled of its own accord, each note reverberating like the heartbeat of something ancient. This place is a grave, Cerise said, her sharp eyes scanning every shadow. And graves do not toll bells unless they are calling someone, or warning them, Thorn replied darkly. As they approached the tower, Myra's step slowed. Her hand brushed against a weathered wooden post. Etched into it was a symbol. She recognized a spiral of waves wrapping around a single eye. She felt a pulse beneath her fingertips, faint but steady, like a sleeping heartbeat. The harbor was once alive, she whispered. Alive in more ways than we can understand. Ilex stepped forward, kneeling to trace the symbol. The air trembled as he touched it, and the mist seemed to retreat slightly. This is a seal, he said softly. A lock, or perhaps a prayer. Who locks a harbor? Leo asked, his spark flickering nervously. The same kind of person. Who teaches a bell to ring without hands? Cerise muttered. Myra's eyes closed. In the distant tolling of the bell, she heard something, an echo not of metal, but of memory. And like a wave rising within her, a story surfaced. There was once a lighthouse keeper who loved the sea. Every night, he would light the beacon, guiding ships through storms. But one night, a storm unlike any other came, a tempest of living shadows. The keeper rang his bell again and again, warning ships, calling for help. No one came. His town fell silent, his ships vanished, and he was left alone with the ocean that both loved and devoured him. Desperate, he bound his soul to the harbour bell, vowing that no ship would ever again be swallowed by silence. His bell would ring forever, warning travellers that danger was near, and that a price awaited those who ignored its call. When Mara opened her eyes, the harbour seemed darker, heavier, as if her own retelling had stirred something awake. "We are not the first to pass through here," she murmured. "This bell is a guardian." "And a judge," Thorn frowned. "A judge of what?" "Our intent," Mara said. "Our hearts. It will decide if we may pass." The bell tolled again, louder this time, and the planks beneath them vibrated. Silver mist curled into shape spaces, hands, whispers of sailors lost to time. There, forms swirled around the travellers, neither hostile nor welcoming, merely present. Leo swallowed hard. "This feels bad." "Not bad," Alex corrected gently. "Old, sacred." Cerise drew her blade just enough to catch the mist reflection. "Old or not, if this bell thinks it can judge me a quiet," Mara said sharply, her voice slicing through the tension like a blade. "The bell is listening." The group moved closer to the tower. The bell swung slowly, impossibly, though no wind stirred it. Each swing created ripples in the mist, like waves crashing invisibly. At the base of the tower stood a gate of rusted iron. Symbols like those Mara had seen on the dock post ran along its edges, glowing faintly as she approached. She placed her palm against the gate. The symbols flared, and the bell tolled once more, this time soft, mournful, almost questioning. Mara closed her eyes and whispered, "We seek not to take, but to protect. We follow the horizon's vow." The gate shuddered, the mist trembled. Then, a voice like the sound of distant waves breaking on unseen shores spoke through the ringing. "Do you carry the weight of your own storms?" Mara opened her mouth to answer, but Thorn stepped forward first. His voice was low, but steady. "I do, and I will carry theirs as well." The bell's toll deepened, echoing approval. "Do you walk with truth, even when it burns?" Cerise lowered her blade, her sharp eyes flickering. "I do, and I burn brighter because of it." The mist curled tighter, then loosened. "Do you dare to hope, even when the sky falls?" Leo's sparks lit up briefly, his grin trembling but real. "I don't just hope, I laugh at the storm." The bell rang softly, almost like a chuckle, and you all eyes turned to Mara. She raised her head, her voice calm but resonant. "I do not walk toward the horizon, I walk with it. And I carry its song in my bones." The mist swirled faster now, lifting off the dock in silver spirals. The gate creaked and opened with a mournful groan. The bell rang one final time, loud enough to shake the water. The faces in the mist turned toward them, bowing their heads before dissolving into silver rain that fell and vanished before hitting the planks. "The harbour has accepted us," Alex said softly. For now," Leo said nervously. "Some promises," Alex murmured, "are heavier than chains." As they stepped through the gate and entered the base of the tower, Mara felt a pulse of energy beneath her feet, like a heart buried beneath the harbour. The air was damp, smelling of old salt and rust, but the glow of ancient magic illuminated faint carvings on the stone walls. Ships swallowed by waves, storms raging in spirals, and a single figure hooded, faceless, standing at the edge of the sea, holding a bell rope. Mara touched the carving. The wall thrummed faintly, and she whispered, "The keeper still rings his warning." Thorn's jaw tightened. "Then he is not at rest." "No," Mara said softly, "and neither is this harbour." The bell tolled again, shaking the entire tower. But this time, the sound carried something sharper, an edge of urgency. From the water outside came a low groan, deep and terrible, like the ocean itself, speaking in its sleep. The dock planks trembled. The water rippled violently, and something vast stirred beneath the surface. "The bell isn't just judging," Cerise said grimly, gripping her sword. It's calling. Mara's eyes narrowed as the fog outside twisted into a spiral, revealing a shadow moving beneath the water, massive, coiling, ancient. The harbour, Mara whispered, is waking its guardian. Asterisk, the bells tolled deepened into a sound like cracking ice. The water around the dock churned violently, black waves rising and falling as if a submerged heartbeat had awakened beneath them. Mist twisted upward, forming spirals like the breath of some titanic creature. Get ready, Thorn muttered, his hand tightening on his blade's hilt. His voice carried the steadiness of a man who had seen storms, but even he could not mask the tension in his jaw. Then it came, a massive, shadowed form broke the surface, scales glistening faintly in the grey light. Its body was coiled like a serpent, but crowned with a face that was neither beast nor man, a visage carved from bare-knuckled stone, with hollow sockets that glowed faintly blue. Rusted chains trailed from its spine, dragging through the water. With a sound like rattling bones, the harbour guardian, its breath rolled out in a mist so cold it frosted the edges of the dock. The bell tolled again, this time not from above, but from within the creature's chest. Mara's breath caught. It carries the bell within itself. That's not a guardian, Leo said, sparks flickering nervously between his fingertips. That's a curse with scales. No, Alex murmured, his glowing hands weaving runes in the air. That's a vow given shape. Asterisk, the creature's voice boomed like waves colliding against cliffs. Travelers, you come where the sea swallows names and storms drink hope. Speak your truth, or be swallowed. Mara stepped forward, feeling the dock quake beneath her feet. The creature's massive head dipped closer, its glowing eyes scanning her soul more than her body. We come for the horizon's promise, Mara said steadily. We do not seek to take what is yours, but to follow the path it lights. The guardian's breath hissed like steam escaping an ancient furnace. Many have said the same, none returned. Then let us be the first, Mara said. The guardian reared its head back, water cascading from its bare-knuckled armour. Words of foam, waves test stones, and with that, it lunged. The dark exploded into motion, planks shuddered as the guardian's tail slammed down, sending splinters flying. Leo leapt back, throwing a bolt of crackling light into the mist. It struck the creature's scaled chest, illuminating the bell. Embedded there for a brief moment. Mara, he shouted, that bell, it's a seal. If we break it or we don't break it, Mara yelled back, rolling out of the way as the creature's tail smashed into a warehouse wall. We answer it. What does that mean? Sari shouted, her blade sparking as she slashed at the serpent side, slicing off a fragment of barnacle-crusted scale. Mara didn't answer. She was already moving, leaping across shattered planks toward the guardian's head. Its glowing eyes followed her like lanterns in the fog. The serpent roared, but beneath the roar Mara heard the faint toll of the bell. Not as a threat, but as a question. She closed her eyes mid-leap, and a vision struck her like lightning. She stood on a cliff, overlooking a stormy ocean. The lighthouse keeper knelt beside her, his face hidden beneath the hood. Do you understand? He asked, his voice like waves scraping stone. Understand what? Mara whispered. He pointed to the storm, where countless ships' lights flickered and vanished beneath waves. That the sea never truly hungers, he said. It only mirrors what men bring to it. He held out the bell rope. Ring it, and know yourself, only then will you pass. The vision shattered, and Mara landed on the guardian's bare-knuckled head, gripping its ridged armour. She could hear the bell tolling deep within its chest, each note vibrating through her bones. Stop fighting, she yelled to her companions. It's not an enemy, it's a test, Sari snarled, ducking under a swipe of the tail. It's trying to kill us, Mara, it's judging us. Mara shouted back. Mara pressed her hand against the guardian's head. I am not here to conquer, she whispered. I am here to carry. The serpent froze. Its glowing eyes dimmed slightly, and the bell's toll slowed. Mara spoke louder. Now, her voice cutting through the fog. I carry storms that aren't mine. I carry promises I may not live to see, and I carry the weight of every life we've already lost. If the sea mirrors me, let it mirror this, a heart that will not break. The bell inside the guardian rang one final time, clear and pure. The creature's glowing eyes softened, and the chains trailing from its spine snapped apart, vanishing like mist. Slowly, it lowered its head to the dock, bowing before Mara.Lio blinked in astonishment. Did you just talk a sea monster out of eating us? Mara slid off its head, landing softly on the dock. No, she said quietly. I passed its test. The Guardian let out a low, rumbling sound, a sigh, or perhaps a prayer, and then slid back into the dark waters, the fall parting in its wake. The bell tower above them tolled once, then fell silent for the first time in centuries. The harbour was truly empty now. They stood there in stunned silence, the mist curling away to reveal a clear horizon. Beyond the harbour lay a narrow channel, leading into open waters, glowing faintly with silver light as if guiding them forward. The horizon's promise, Alex murmured. It has accepted you. No, Mara corrected softly. It has accepted us, as they began walking toward their waiting ship. Cerise glanced back at the silent bell tower. That was no simple test, she said. It felt personal. It always is, Mara said, her voice distant. The night sky cleared above them as they prepared to sail. Stars glittered over calm waters, and for a brief moment, Mara closed her eyes and thought of the lighthouse keeper's words, the sea mirrors what men bring to it. She looked out at the glowing channel, her reflection rippling softly in its silver light. And for the first time in a long time, her reflection smiled back. The waves did not calm immediately. The sea still churned as though resisting the Guardian's retreat. Every crash against the dock was like a warning. This was not a victory, but an invitation to something far greater, something far more dangerous. Mara exhaled sharply, her hand trembling after touching the serpent scales. They had been colder than ice, but thrummed with life, like gripping the heart of a winter storm. Cerise sheathed her blade, but her eyes remained fixed on the water's surface. I don't like it, she muttered. Monsters don't just bow, not unless they're bound by something older than themselves, Alex said softly. He knelt by the water's edge, dipping his fingers into the dark tide. This was no beast, this was a keeper of vows, that bell inside its chest. It's more than a symbol. Leo crossed his arms, lightning still dancing faintly between his fingertips. You mean there's more of those things out there, waiting to test? Yes, Alex replied grimly, and they will not all be as merciful. The harbour itself seemed to groan as they began moving forward. Old ships, shattered and some bleached, rocked gently against their moorings. Ropes creaked, sails long torn to ribbons fluttered in the mist, bells hung from every mast and post. Silent now, their tongues unmoving, the silence felt wrong. Do you hear that? Mara whispered. Hear what? Cerise asked. Exactly. Mara's hand brushed the hilt of her dagger. The harbour is too quiet. Even after that, a faint ringing reached their ears, distant and melodic. It wasn't coming from any bell in sight. It came from deeper within the fog, carried on the wind like a ghost whisper. They followed the sound, weaving through the skeletal remains of the port. Faded murals on crumbling walls depicted ships vanishing into storms, sailors kneeling before towering figures crowned in light. The paintings were cracked and water-stained, but the message was clear. This harbour was once a shrine, a place where mortals came not to sail, but to kneel. As they walked, Alex's voice broke the tension. There is a tale from the old texts, a story of this place, when the sea was still young. Leo groaned. Another bedtime story. Alex ignored him. They say there was once a great bell, forged from the heart of a fallen star. It hung over this harbour, and every time it rang, storms would part, and sailors would find safe passage. But the people grew arrogant. They rang it, not in need, but in greed, demanding the sea yield to their desires. The guards grew tired of their clamour, and so they bound the bell within a serpent of chains, condemning the harbour to eternal silence. Cerise scowled. So the Guardian isn't a monster at all. It's a prison, yes, Alex said. A prison that tests all who dare pass. The ringing grew louder now, clearer, as if calling them forward. Mara's pulse quickened. The path led them to a massive archway of stone, carved with runes so ancient they seemed to hum faintly in their presence. Mist clung to the arch like a veil, and beyond it was a channel glowing with pale silver light. Their ship waited at the pier, its sails glowing faintly under the soft moonlight. But something about the air here was heavy, charged. This is it, Mara whispered. Io shifted uncomfortably. I'd say this looks like an invitation, or a warning, Cerise finished. Before anyone could answer, the mist thickened abruptly, curling upward like smoke from an unseen fire. Shapes formed within it tall, indistinct silhouettes of sailors, their hollow eyes glowing faintly. Ghost. One step forward, a figure draped in tattered robes, a captain's medallion still hanging from its spectral neck. Its voice was barely more than a whisper. Why do you seek the promise? Mara's breath caught in her throat. She stepped forward carefully. Because the world is dying, she said softly, and I refuse to let it sink. The ghost tilted its head, its hollow gaze fixed on her. And what will you pay? Mara felt the weight of the question like a stone in her chest. She glanced at her companion Cerise with her sword, Leo with his restless sparks, Ilex with his ancient wisdom. All of them had already sacrificed so much, everything, Mara said finally. If that's what it takes. The ghost captain studied her for a long moment. Then, slowly, it raised its hand and pointed toward the glowing channel, then sail, it whispered. The mist parted completely, and the harbour was silent once more. The ghostly figures faded, leaving only the creak of their waiting ship. Cerise exhaled sharply. I hate ghosts, then you'll hate what's ahead even more, Alex murmured. The horizon's promise does not give freely, it demands everything. Mara didn't respond. She stared at the glowing waters leading out of the harbour. They shimmered like liquid silver, a path stretching into the unknown. Somewhere beyond that horizon lay the truth they sought. Or their doom. She tightened her grip on the ship's rail. Let's go, she said. Before the bells ring again. The wind shifted, not a gentle breeze, but a sharp inhale, as if the harbour itself drew breath. The mist rippled like a curtain, and the silent bells hanging from broken masts began to sway. Their tongues clinked softly inside their bronze cages, too faint to be true ringing, yet loud enough to rattle the heart. Mara froze. She wasn't imagining it. The bells weren't ringing with sound, they were ringing in her bones. Back to the ship, Cerise muttered, her hand on her sword. No, Alex said firmly. His eyes were fixed on the glowing channel. This is the test. The harbour judges us now. The skeletal docks groaned as they walked toward their vessel. Each plank seemed to creak with age and resentment, as though resenting mortal footsteps. The mist clung to their legs, colder now, pulling at their boots. As they reached the ship, Mara's heart sank. The rope securing it had turned to rusted chains. No wind stirred its sails, yet the vessel seemed alive, its mass bending like a spine, groaning like an old sentinel forced to awaken. Something's wrong, Leo whispered. Sparks flickered from his hands, instinctive and nervous. Everything's wrong, Cerise said flatly, and she stepped forward, blade drawn. The bells began to toll. 1, 2, 3. Each chime was slow, deliberate, and heavy enough to crack the air, and with every toll, something stirred. Shadows emerged from the water, not splashing but gliding across it like ink. They took on humanoid shapes sailors drowned long ago, their features twisted in silent agony. Their hollow mouths opened as though to scream, yet the only sound was the next tolling of the bells. Keep moving, Mara hissed, her voice low but steady. One of the spirits drifted closer, its skeletal hands brushing the dock's edge. Mara's eyes widened, its fingers left frost where they touched. She reached for her dagger, but Alex raised his staff. Do not fight, he said sharply. These are echoes, bound to the bell's call, and if the echoes decide to pull, US under, Cerise growled. Then, Alex's voice faltered for the first time. Then we pray. The tolling grew louder, the spirits closed in, forming a path, forcing them forward. Why does this feel like a funeral march? Leah muttered, Mara's lips tightened. Because it is. They reached the ship's deck, the wooden planks shuddering under their boots. The vessel itself groaned again, as though ancient lungs filled with misty breath. Its figurehead a once proud carving of a woman holding a lantern now glowed faintly, her wooden eyes burning with pale silver fire. The ship spoke. Not with words, but with a voice that trembled through the boards beneath their feet, a deep, mournful hum that resonated. In their skulls, you come, seeking the horizon's promise? Mara clenched her fists. We do, the ship's hum deepened. Do you come with faith, or fear? Both. Mara admitted. Because only fools come without fear, the figurehead's lantern flared, and the mist rolled back. The channel ahead glimmered, and beyond it, stars shimmered like scattered coins spilled across a black velvet sea. You may pass, the ship intoned. But the bells will toll for you again. They toll for all who dare sail this path. Lovely, Cerise muttered, gripping the railing. The chains holding the ship loosened, snapping free like dead vines. The sails filled with an unnatural wind, pulling them toward the glowing channel. As they drifted from the harbour, the ghostly sailors vanished one by one, sinking silently back into the water's reflection. Yet the bells did not fall silent. They rang once more, a slow, deep note that rolled across the sea like thunder, carrying a message Mara could feel in her marrow. Every promise carries a price. The ship glided forward, leaving the harbour behind like a graveyard of memories. Mara stood at the bow, gripping the railing, her eyes locked on the horizon's glow. The sound of those bells clung to her ears, heavy and haunting. Leo joined her, silent for once. After a moment, he spoke. Did you notice? What? Mara asked. Those ghosts weren't angry. He glanced back at the misty shore. They were sad. Mara exhaled slowly. Then maybe they know what's waiting for us. Double quotes behind them. The harbour sank into silence once more, its bells swaying gently in the fog. Ahead, the sea opened like a mirror of the night sky, each wave whispering secrets in a language older than man. The promise lay beyond. And now the tolling bells had marked them. The sea was silent. Not silent, even the creak of the ships. Ropes felt muffled, as though a great hand had cupped the world and smothered its breath. The fog around the harbour was thickening behind them, curling upward like pale fingers that didn't want to let go. Mara stood at the bow, her cloak heavy with mist, her heart heavier still. Each toll of the bells still vibrated in her bones, echoing in rhythm with her pulse. She felt as though she had been measured by unseen judges and found both worthy and wanting at once. Alex knelt near the mast, his fingers trailing strange sigils into the wood. His lips moved in a low chant, soft enough that the sound blended with the groaning timbers. Sparks of blue light clung to his fingertips before sinking into the planks, like whispers disappearing into a dream. Wards, he murmured. We'll need them for ghosts, Leo asked, perched uneasily on a coil of rope. No, Alex said without looking up. For what calls them? The mist on the horizon parted briefly, revealing a fleeting glimpse of distant cliffs that curved like the ribs of some long-dead beast. The sight sent a shiver through Mara. She thought of the bells, how they tolled not in warning, but in mourning. She remembered a story her grandmother used to tell her, parable about a fisherman who sought the sea of endless stars. The fisherman had built his boat strong, filled his heart with courage, and sailed beyond the reach of all charts. But the deeper he went, the quieter the sea became, until his own heartbeat sounded like a drum in a cathedral. One night, a bell tolled from nowhere, and the stars above him fell into the water, one by one, until there was nothing left but his reflection in an endless black ocean. They said he never returned because he'd finally become a star himself. As Mara recalled the tale, she realized something chilling. The silence here matched the story's description perfectly. Cerise leaned against the rail, sharpening her blade. In steady, deliberate strokes. I don't like this, she muttered. Too quiet, even the gulls are gone. Maybe the gulls are smarter than us, Leo offered, forcing a shaky laugh. Maybe, Cerise said, her jaw tight. The ship suddenly lurched as if something beneath the water brushed its hull. Everyone froze. The lantern on the figurehead flickered, then steadied, its pale flame dimming for a breath. Hold steady, Alex said firmly. The harbour is testing our resolve, or warning us to turn back, Cerise countered. Promises aren't made to be easy, Mara said quietly, her eyes fixed on the glowing channel ahead. We came for answers. We keep going. The mist shifted again, curling around the sails like a living thing. Within it, shapes appeared, faces half-formed, eyes like pinpricks of starlight. They didn't attack, didn't reach out. They only watched, their expressions hollow, mournful, and heavy with secrets. Why did they stare like that? Leah whispered, they're measuring us. Alex said gravely. The bells tolled again, once, twice, thrice. The sound rolled through the fog, resonating deep enough to make the water itself shiver. And this time, Mara heard something beneath the tolling, a voice, not in words, but in feeling. A single truth pressed into her mind, as if whispered by the sea itself. Every soul that crosses this threshold leaves something behind. Her breath hitched. She glanced around, wondering if the others heard it, but their faces betrayed nothing but tension. The ship groaned as the current took hold, pulling them faster through the glowing channel. The mist around them thickened, swallowing all sight of the world beyond their vessel. The only light came from the figurehead's lantern, and even that seemed to flicker uneasily, as though afraid. Cerise gripped her sword hilt tighter. Feels like sailing through a throat. Maybe we are, Mara whispered. At that moment, the bells struck again, louder than ever. The sound shattered the mist in front of them, parting it like a curtain, and there, for the first time, they saw the empty harbour in its entirety, a city drowned, its towers half submerged and its streets swallowed by the tide. Rusted ships floated like bones in stagnant pools, and massive bronze bells hung from shattered spires, swaying in a phantom wind. The air reeked of salt and ancient decay, yet beneath it was something stranger, faint sweetness, like flowers placed on a forgotten grave. The harbour was not empty at all. It was a cemetery. Mara's throat tightened as she whispered, This place was alive once. It still is, Alex said, his voice heavy. The bells keep its heart beating, but its heart beats in mourning. Leo shivered, pulling his cloak tighter. Why would anyone build a harbour here, in a place like this? Because, Mara said softly, her gaze fixed on the bells, this is where promises come to die. The ship glided forward, each toll of the bells a dirge guiding them deeper into the city of ghosts. The ship moved silently through the mist, gliding past drowned streets and half-submerged towers. The bells hung from broken spires like watchful eyes, each toll vibrating through the water, through the fog, through Mara's very bones. Then, shapes began to emerge from the shadows, figures draped in tattered uniforms, faces pale and hollow. Some clutched broken ropes, others carried lanterns whose flames burned cold, blue as ice. They drifted toward the ship, yet never touched the water there. Ghosts, Leo whispered, voice barely audible over the tolling bells. Sparks flickered weakly between his fingers. No, Mara said, her eyes narrowing, not ghosts. They are the harbour's memory, echoes of promises made and broken. One step forward, a captain with a wide-brimmed hat hanging at a crooked angle. His hollow eyes focused on Mara. Why do you sail here? To honour a promise, Mara replied. To follow the horizon's vow. The captain tilted his head. A vow is only as strong as the heart that carries it. Many came here, claiming the horizon's promise. Few left with their hearts unbroken. Ceres's fingers clenched on her sword hilt. And what happens to those whose hearts are broken? The captain's hollow lips curved faintly. They become part of the harbour, ringing the bells for eternity. Their stories feed the mist. Their regrets steer the currents. Mara felt it in her chest, a weight she could not shrug off. She glanced at her companions. Each of them bore a similar tension. Leo's sparks flickered uncertainly. Ceres's jaw was set, and Alex's hands glowed faintly as he prepared wards. We've passed the harbour, Mara whispered. But we carry its toll with us. Every choice, every truth, every fear, it follows us. The channel narrowed further, the glowing horizon stretching before them like a bridge of light. Mara felt a surge of clarity. The horizon's promise was not a place, not a destination. It was a path of courage, honesty, and sacrifice, and the empty harbour had ensured they understood that lesson fully. The ship sailed forward, leaving the drowned city behind. Mist rolled back, revealing the first real stretch of open water. Stars glittered above, mirrored in the silver sea below. The tolling of the bells faded, leaving only a faint echo in their hearts, a melody of warnings, memories, and lessons. Leo spoke first, his voice quiet. So, we made it through the harbour. Alive, mostly sane, alive, Mara agreed. But changed, and the horizon still waits. Ceres sheathed her blade, though her eyes never left the glowing horizon. And I get the feeling it won't be easy, no, Mara said. Nothing worth seeking ever is. The silver light ahead pulsed gently, like the heartbeat of the world itself. And Mara understood that the journey had only just begun. The empty harbour's bells were silent now, but their song remained in memory, in warning, in every step forward. And the horizon's promise awaited them. The silver channel stretched endlessly, yet Mara felt the weight of the harbour clinging to them. The water shimmered unnaturally, reflecting stars that seemed impossibly bright, as if the heavens themselves leaned close to observe. The ship's lantern cast trembling light across the mist, and the echoes of the bells, though faint, still resonated in their bones. Leo glanced over the railing nervously. I swear, every plank feels alive. I half expect it to snap and swallow us, alive. Yes, Mara said, her voice low, the harbour remembers everything. It keeps every broken vow, every fear, every soul it has judged. We've passed its test, but its memory lingers, and so does its toll. Cerise folded her arms, scanning the mist. I don't like invisible ghosts watching us. I don't like silver water that glows, and I especially don't like feeling like we're being measured. Alex muttered an incantation, his hands leaving faint trails of blue light across the deck. It's not malice, Cerise. The harbour is not punishing, it's revealing. Every trial here reflects the hearts of those who enter. The stronger the heart, the surer the path ahead. Suddenly, the water beneath them swelled, forming shapes like colossal, submerged statues. Their outlines were human but elongated, faces turned upward in silent lament. Their hands reached out, brushing the hull of the ship as if testing Mara. And her companions, do we fight them? Leo asked, sparks flickering nervously. No, Mara said. We do not fight. We listen, we respect. The harbour tests our intentions, not our strength. A low, echoing voice rose from the depths. Do you carry your truths, traveller, or only the weight of others' promises? Mara closed her eyes, recalling a parable from her childhood. There was a traveller who sought the other shore of a silver river. The river demanded three things: give your fear, take courage, remember your path. Only when he fulfilled all three did a bridge appear. Those who refused were swallowed. Opening her eyes, Mara spoke firmly to the harbour. We give our fear, take what we need, and remember who we are. Only then will we pass. The submerged statues quivered and then slowly sank beneath the surface, forming a corridor of calm, guiding them forward. As the ship sailed, Mara glanced at the silver horizon. The faint glow pulsed like a heartbeat, the horizon's promise. She whispered, it isn't a place, it's a path, and we must choose to walk it. The bells tolled one last time, soft and harmonious, echoing across the silver waters. Their song was no longer mournful, it was a melody of acknowledgement, a reward for courage, and a reminder of the cost of every promise kept. Cerise exhaled. Finally, something peaceful, but not easy, Mara said. The journey only begins here. The ship glided past the final pillars of mist. The harbour behind them faded, leaving only silver water and starlight. Mara felt the lessons of the empty harbour settle in her heart, courage tempered by humility, truth measured against intent, and promises weighed by their keepers. Leo looked toward the horizon. Well, it's glowing, that's hopeful, right, Mara? Nodded. The horizon waits, and we walk toward it, not for glory, not for fame, but because it is ours to follow. Whatever toll comes next, we will carry it together. The bell's final echo faded into the night. The empty harbour had tested them, and they had passed not unscathed, but enlightened. Ahead lay the open sea, endless and mysterious, leading to the horizon's promise, and Mara knew that the path forward would demand everything. The silver channel shimmered beneath the stars, and Mara felt the harbour's memories pressing in around them. The tolling of invisible bells had faded, but their echo remained, vibrating in her chest. The ghosts of sailors, the statues of submerged hopes, even the mist all had tested her courage. And yet, the horizon ahead glowed, beckoning. Suddenly, a figure appeared on the deck, illuminated by a pale, steady flame. His presence was calm yet intense, radiating knowledge and fire. Mara's breath caught. You've walked through the harbour, he said, voice low and resonant. And yet the journey has only begun. Mara turned, heart racing. Who? I am Prometheus, the figure said simply, the flame in his hand flickering like a living heart. I carry the fire of foresight, the fire of choice. Those who seek the horizon's promise must understand light illuminates, but it also burns. Cirrus's hand instinctively went to her sword. Great. Now we get philosophical ghost too. Not a ghost, Prometheus said with a faint smile, a witness, and a guide, if you are willing to see. He stepped forward, and the flame in his palm grew, casting long shadows across the deck. The silver water reflected the glow, turning the waves into rivers of molten light. Mara felt heat against her face, not burning, but awakening something deep inside her. The harbor tested your hearts, your courage, your truth, Prometheus said. But the horizon's promise will demand more: sacrifice, endurance, and the wisdom to bear what you learn. Those who fail cannot turn back. The toll is absolute. Ilek stepped closer, studying the flame. You are, what exactly, a guardian? Prometheus shook his head. Not a guardian, a spark. I exist to remind travelers that the light they seek is never free. Every illumination casts shadows. Every choice brings cost, Leo muttered under his breath, sparks flickering nervously. Perfect, just what I needed. More metaphors and more danger. Mara focused. Then help us. We need the fire to guide us through what's next. Prometheus extended his hand, and the flame leapt from his palm to Mara's, warm and alive. She felt knowledge and courage intertwine with fear and doubt. The water beneath them reflected not just stars, but the shapes of paths yet untraveled, the unseen currents of destiny. The harbor taught you humility, Prometheus said. Now it's time to walk forward. Remember, the fire burns, but it also reveals the horizon's promise is not merely ahead, it is within you. It tests what you carry, and it will show you what you are willing to give. The mist swirled, forming the final arch of the empty harbor, its ruins fading into silver light. The ship moved forward, guided by the flame, the glow of the horizon stretching like a bridge of stars. Mara glanced at her companions. With this light, we can face whatever comes next. The horizon is ours not just as a destination, but as a path to walk. Together, Prometheus's voice echoed softly as he faded into the mist. Carry the flame, bear its weight, and never forget, to seek the horizon's promise is to walk willingly into fire and emerge with vision. The glow of Prometheus's flame spread across the deck, pushing back the silver mist of the empty harbor. The water beneath the ship no longer shimmered unnaturally, it pulsed with life, reflecting the lantern's light, and the stars above like a living mirror. This fire, Mara whispered, it's more than light, it's guidance, clarity, even courage. Prometheus nodded, shadows flickering across his face. Courage alone is not enough. You will need wisdom, patience, and the ability to sacrifice. Every wave ahead tests more than your strength, it tests your hearts, Cerise muttered under her breath, still uneasy. I don't like glowing figures telling me what to feel. And I definitely don't like glowing water that moves on its own. Leo's sparks flickered nervously, and he muttered, I'm with her on that one. Glowing water, great, just great. Alex placed his hand on the deck, feeling the residual energy of the harbor. The empty harbor has judged us. But the toll is not done. What follows is shaped by our choices, and the fire we carry now will illuminate the path, or burn us if we falter. Suddenly, the ship lurched violently. Waves of silver water rose like walls on either side, twisting and coiling, forming shapes reminiscent of the harbor's ghostly sailors, but larger, more menacing. Their eyes glowed with the same pale light. As the horizon ahead, hold steady, Mara shouted, gripping the railing. Sparks from Leo's hands shot out, weaving with the flame of Prometheus, forming a protective cocoon around the crew. Prometheus stepped forward, raising his hand. The fire in his palm leapt upward, merging with the misty shapes. The towering water figures paused, bowing slightly to the flame before dissolving into gentle ripples. The harbor tests not just your hearts, Prometheus said. It tests your unity. Alone, none would pass. Together, the path opens. Mara looked at her companions, their faces lit by fire and starlight. We've survived the harbor, she said firmly. We've faced memory, fear, and judgment. But the horizon awaits, and it will demand more. The channel ahead narrowed, forming a tunnel of silver light. Every step felt sacred, like walking through a temple built by the sea itself. Prometheus's flame danced along the deck, casting shadows that intertwined with the reflections in the water, showing fragments of their past, their fears, and what they must carry forward. One final trial before open waters, Prometheus said softly, a choice, fear or courage, restraint or impulse. The horizon's promise rewards the heart that dares to carry its own flame. Mara's hand closed around the lantern, feeling the warmth merge with her own heartbeat. She glanced at Leo, Cerise, and Ilex. Then we walk forward, together, and we carry the fire with us no matter the cost. The mist parted entirely, revealing the open sea beyond, silver waves glowing beneath the stars. The empty harbour receded, silent now, its bells stilled, but their echo lingered as a reminder of the lessons learned, the promises honoured, and the courage required. Prometheus's voice lingered as he faded into the mist. Remember, traveller, the light you carry shapes the path you walk. The horizon's promise waits beyond sight and fear. Walk wisely, walk bravely, and bear the flame. The silver waves stretched endlessly ahead. But Mara could still feel the harbour's gaze lingering, as though it refused to let them go entirely. The tolling of the bells had vanished, yet their echo remained in her chest, a reminder of promises made, fears confronted, and truths revealed. Prometheus stood at the bow, flame steady in his hand. The harbour tested your courage, your hearts, and your unity, he said. But it has one final question. Can you carry the fire of knowledge without letting it consume you? Leo shifted uneasily. Isn't that what we've been doing this whole time? Now, Prometheus replied, you will face it all at once. The harbour has given you its gift, insight. But insight comes with weight, every choice, every fear. Every memory you carry will shape the path through open waters. The mist thickened, coiling around the ship like serpents. From the silver depths, shapes began to rise, colossal forms of water and light, towering over the deck, their eyes shimmering with the harbour's memory. The air itself seemed to hum, vibrating in resonance with the toll of invisible bells. Cerise gritted her teeth, gripping her sword. I knew it wasn't over. These things, they're massive. Mara held up the lantern, fire from Prometheus' hand dancing with the glow. They're not enemies, she said firmly. They are reminders, the harbour's memory, and we must honour it. The figures paused, observing her, their motions slow, almost ceremonial. Mara realised each one represented a promise broken or kept, a life lost or remembered. The harbour had made its final judgment, not with violence, but with reflection. Prometheus extended his hand, and a ribbon of flame arched across the deck, touching each figure. The light did not burn, it illuminated, revealing paths within the towering forms. The silver shapes quivered, then gradually dissolved into the mist, leaving a clear corridor ahead. The final passage, Prometheus said softly. The harbour has released you, but remember, the path to the horizon's promise is a journey of fire and choice. Carry what you must, let go of what you cannot, and step forward without fear. Mara grasped the lantern, feeling its warmth merge. With her resolve, we are ready, she said to her companions. The horizon awaits, and we will not falter. As the ship glided through the last stretch of silver mist, the horizon ahead began to pulse with a gentle, radiant light. Stars reflected in the water like scattered diamonds, guiding the way forward. The empty harbour receded behind them, silent now, its trials complete, leaving only memories, lessons, and the echo of its bells in the hearts of those who had passed. Prometheus' voice lingered in the wind. Carry the flame, walk boldly. The horizon's promise lies ahead, but only those who bear the fire within can claim it. Mara stood at the bow, feeling the weight of the harbour, the fire of Prometheus, and the courage of her companions. The sea ahead was vast, unknown, and uncharted, but illuminated by the flame they now carried. And in that moment, she knew the journey was truly beginning. The silver mist around the ship began to thin, revealing more of the open sea ahead. Yet the air still carried a hum of subtle resonance, like the heartbeat of the empty harbour itself. The water shimmered in muted silver, reflecting fragmented starlight. It was beautiful, but Mara could feel the weight of centuries pressing against them. Prometheus moved to her side, flame in his hand casting long shadows across the deck. "You have survived the harbor," he said softly, "but survival is not the same as understanding. There is one lesson you have yet to grasp." Leo shifted nervously. "And what's that, exactly?" Another wave of glowing statues. Prometheus smiled faintly. Perhaps something even subtler. The harbor tests not the body, it tests the heart, the courage to face truth, the willingness to bear burdens, and the wisdom to know what must be left behind. Suddenly, the waters ahead rose, forming a swirling vortex of silver light. It was neither wave nor mist, but a living mirror of memories, reflecting every fear, every doubt, every unresolved promise they carried. The ship rocked slightly as the vortex twisted around them, and Mara realized this was the final trial. "Stand firm," she commanded, gripping the railing. Sparks flickered from Leo's hands, merging with Prometheus' flame to form a protective aura around the ship. The vortex parted slightly, revealing shapes within, fragments of their past, echoes of their decisions, shadows of promises made and broken. It was as if the harbor itself wanted them to see themselves before they stepped into the open sea. Prometheus extended his hand, and the fire leapt from his palm, weaving through the memories like threads of light. "Face them," he said. "Do not deny the lessons. Do not fear the shadows. Only those who embrace both light and darkness can claim the horizon's promise." Mara stepped forward, her reflection appearing in the silver waves, her doubts, her fears, but also her courage and resolve. She whispered, "I carry the fire, I carry truth. I carry my heart forward." The vortex trembled and then gradually dissolved, leaving a clear path ahead. The horizon glowed, a radiant line of silver light that seemed almost alive. Cerise exhaled, lowering her sword. "Finally, clarity," Leo muttered. "Yeah. And it didn't even try to eat us. I'll take that as a win." Prometheus' voice lingered as he faded into the mist. "The harbor has released you, but the journey ahead will be harder. Open waters, unseen currents, storms born of choice and consequence. The flame you carry now is your guide, your protection, and your burden. Do not lose it, and do not forget it." Mara gripped the lantern, feeling its warmth merge with her. "Resolve, we will carry it," she said to her companions. Through storm, shadow, and doubt, together we walked the path to the horizon's promise. The empty harbor receded behind them, silent now, its trials complete, leaving only lessons, memories, and the echo of its bells in their hearts. The silver waves stretched endlessly ahead, and Mara realized the journey had truly begun. The silver sea stretched endlessly ahead, but the air still trembled with whispers of the empty harbor. Every plank of the ship vibrated faintly, carrying the memory of countless promises and regrets. The tolling of the bells had ceased, yet their echo lingered, like the heartbeat of a city that refused to be forgotten. Prometheus stepped forward, his flame steady and warm. "You have passed the tests of courage, truth, and unity," he said. "But the harbor has one last question. Can you carry its lessons into the unknown, without being consumed by doubt or fear?" Mara met his gaze. "We can, we must, though. Horizon's promise awaits, and we cannot falter," Leo muttered under his breath, sparks flickering nervously. "Yeah, well, if the horizon has a sense of humor, it's probably hiding some giant sea monster." Cerise rolled her eyes. "Leo, focus. The only monsters I see are the ones in my mind. And trust me, they're plenty." Alex traced faint blue sigils over the deck. "The harbor's lessons remain within us. Every fear, every memory, every choice, it will guide us. Or warn us, but only if we acknowledge it." From the water ahead, silver ripples began to rise, forming shapes giant, undulating figures of water and light, each representing a memory of the harbor. Lost sailors, broken masts, fading lanterns. They circled the ship, towering above the deck like silent sentinels. Mara steadied her breath. "They are not enemies, they are reflections. Echoes of all that has passed here, and they test us one final time." Prometheus extended his hand. The flame leapt from his palm, weaving through the silver figures, illuminating their shapes and dissolving their fearsome appearance. "See clearly," he said. "Face what is yours to carry, and let go of what is not. The fire guides, but it cannot carry the weight for you." Mara stepped forward, touching the railing. The reflections in the silver water shimmered her past doubts, her fears, but also her courage and resolve. She whispered to herself, I carry the fire, I carry truth, I carry my heart. The figures of water shivered, then melted into the mist, leaving a luminous path forward. The horizon glowed brighter, a radiant silver line stretching endlessly, alive with promise. Cerise exhaled, lowering her sword. So, that's it, we're finally clear. Prometheus' voice echoed softly, fading into the mist. The harbor has released you, but the path ahead will demand more. Storms, choices, and consequences await. Carry the flame wisely, for it is both shield and burden. Mara gripped the lantern, feeling the warmth merge with her resolve. We will carry it, she said to her companions. Through storm, shadow, and doubt, together we walked toward the horizon's promise. The empty harbor receded behind them, its bells silent, its lessons learned. The silver waves stretched endlessly ahead, and Mara knew this was the true beginning of their journey. The silver waters stretched endlessly, but the air still held a hum of soft resonance, like the harbor itself exhaling centuries of memory. The ship swayed gently, yet every plank beneath their feet seemed alive, vibrating faintly as if recalling the countless lives it had carried. Prometheus walked along the deck, flame steady in his hand. You have passed through the harbor's trials, he said. But the fire within you must now awaken fully. Only when you understand its true nature can you walk the path to the horizon's promise without being lost to it. Mara nodded, feeling the warmth of the flame merge with her heartbeat. We understand, the harbor tested us, but it cannot bind us. The path is ahead, and we will walk it. The mist ahead thickened suddenly, forming shapes giant, twisting columns of water glowing with silver light. They rotated slowly, revealing within them reflections of the crew, their fears, regrets, and past failures. The harbor's final test. Cerise tightened her grip on her sword. I don't like the look of those. They're watching us. They are not watching to harm, Mara said. They reflect what we carry, and they will teach us one last lesson: how to bear the weight of our own hearts. Prometheus lifted his hand, and the flame leapt into the mist. It cut through the silver shapes, illuminating each reflection. Face what is yours, he said, and release what does not belong to you. Only those who carry the fire willingly can move forward. Mara stepped forward, feeling her past doubts and fears flicker in the silver reflections. She whispered, I carry my courage, my truth, and my heart. I will not let fear rule me. The twisting columns of water shimmered, then slowly melted into ripples, leaving a luminous channel straight toward the glowing horizon. The tolling of the bells, faint yet resonant, seemed to approve, vibrating through the ship's timbers. Leo muttered, Well, I think that was our last test. Hopefully. Cerise exhaled, lowering her blade. If that's the last test, I'll take it. Let's get to the open sea. Prometheus' voice echoed softly as he faded into the mist. The harbor has released you. But remember, the horizon's promise will demand more than courage. It will demand wisdom, sacrifice, and the fire you now carry. Do not squander it. Mara gripped the lantern, the fire warm and alive in her hands. She glanced at her companions, Leo, Cerise, Ilex. Together, she said, through storm, shadow, and doubt, together, we walked toward the horizon's promise. The empty harbor receded behind them, silent and still. The silver waves stretched endlessly ahead, reflecting the glow of the horizon. Mara knew this was not the end of their journey, but a beginning. The path forward, illuminated by the fire of Prometheus, guided by courage, and tempered by the lessons of the harbor. The bells had fallen silent, but their echo remained in their hearts, a melody of endurance, wisdom, and the promise of what lay ahead. The silver waters of the empty harbor stretched infinitely, their glow reflecting fragments of the starlit sky above. Every ripple seemed alive, quivering under the memory of centuries, of countless promises made and broken. The ship creaked softly as though in recognition of the souls it carried across the spectral waters. Mara stood at the bow, her fingers grazing the railing. She could feel the echoes of the harbor in her bones, the silent judgment, the lingering questions, the weight of every decision she had ever made. The lantern in her hand burned steadily, infused with Prometheus flame, warm yet potent, like the heartbeat of truth itself. Prometheus stepped beside her, his presence commanding yet calm. The flame in his hand cast a long glow across the deck, intertwining with the reflected starlight. "You have walked through the harbour," he said, voice low and deliberate. "But do you understand what you carry now? The fire within you is not merely light, it is responsibility. Every choice ahead will be shaped by it, every step judged by the strength of your resolve. Remember, courage alone is not enough, wisdom and sacrifice are required." Leo flickered nervously beside the railing, sparks dancing across his hands. "Responsibility, sure, fine. But can we talk about the minor detail that the water looks alive, the stars are unnaturally close, and that I feel like the entire harbour is watching me?" "Just asking." Cerise shot him a glare, one that could cut steel. "Leo, focus. This isn't about whether you're scared, it's about surviving with your wits intact. And if we carry the fire correctly, it will guide us," Alex murmured, tracing faint sigils over the deck, the harbour judge's intent. "Strength alone cannot pass these waters. We have the fire, yes, but we must wield it with clarity, with mindfulness, otherwise, it will consume us. The flame is both shield and mirror, it reveals what we are and what we could become." The mist ahead thickened, coiling like serpents. Around the ship, silver tendrils rising into shapes both beautiful and terrifying. Towers of water erupted, twisting like colossal statues, each one alive with silver light. Within the forms, Mara saw reflections not just of the crew, but of herself. Memories of fear, doubt, loss, and fleeting courage danced in the luminescent waves. She swallowed hard. This is more than a test. It's a mirror of who we are, and who we must become." Prometheus extended his hand, and the flame arched gracefully, slicing through the mist. The towering columns shimmered, and fragments of the reflections became clearer. A younger Mara, unsure and frightened. Cerise confronting her deepest regrets, Leo hesitating at impossible choices. Alex caught between doubt and responsibility. "The harbour does not merely observe," Prometheus said softly. "It challenges, it illuminates, it asks, do you carry truth or only illusions of courage?" Mara met the reflection of her younger self. "I carry the fire," she whispered. "I carry my courage, my truth, and my heart forward. I will not falter, I will not abandon what I have learned here, though." Silver towers trembled and began to dissolve into mist, leaving a luminous corridor leading straight toward the glowing horizon. Mara felt the weight in her chest lighten, replaced by a steady rhythm, as though the harbour itself had acknowledged her resolve. Cerise exhaled, lowering her sword. "Well, that was unnerving, but effective, I guess." "The path is clear now," Leo's Sparks sputtered nervously. "Effective, sure, but still creepy." "Can we just sail already?" Alex nodded, hands glowing faintly. "The harbour has revealed its truths, now we carry them. The fire is our guide, but also our reminder. Every challenge, every storm ahead, will reflect the choices we make now." Prometheus' flame flickered once, bright and steady, before he spoke again. "The empty harbour has tested your hearts, your unity, and your resolve. But this is merely the beginning. Beyond this place lies open water, storms born not just of nature, but of choice and consequence. The fire within you will be your shield, your light, and your burden. Bear it wisely." The horizon began to glow more brightly, casting the open sea in hues of silver and gold. Every wave shimmered, alive with the echoes of lessons learned. Mara turned to her companions, seeing determination in their eyes, tempered by exhaustion. "And all, we carry the flame," she said. "Through shadow, through fear, through doubt. Together, we walk toward the horizon's promise." A final toll of invisible bells resonated through the ship. Not a warning, not a judgment, but a quiet acknowledgement, a benediction of passage. The harbour had released them, the silver waters behind receded, leaving calm, open seas ahead, and a horizon alive with infinite possibility. Prometheus' voice lingered, fading into the night. "Remember this, the path to the horizon's promise is not merely a journey through space, it is a journey through yourselves." Light illuminates But it also burns. Choose wisely what you carry forward. Mara gripped the lantern tightly, feeling warmth merge with her resolve, her courage, and the knowledge gained from the harbour. The ship sailed forward, the silver waves rippling beneath them, and the horizon beckoned. The journey beyond the empty harbour had truly begun. The empty harbour had finally released its grip, but its memory clung to the ship like a persistent shadow. Every ripple of the silver water carried a whisper, a secret echo of centuries past, as though the harbour itself were reluctant to let them go. The tolling of the invisible bells had faded, but their resonance remained in Mara's chest, a heartbeat that refused to be silenced. Prometheus walked the deck beside her, his flame steady, a living guide in the dim silver light. You have passed through judgment and reflection, he said softly. But remember, the fire within you is more than illumination. It is knowledge, it is responsibility, and it is a burden. Beyond the harbour, it will be tested further by storm, by shadow, by choice. Mara nodded, feeling the warmth of the flame intertwine with her own heartbeat. We carry it, through fear, through doubt, and through the unknown. The horizon awaits, and we will not falter. Leo's sparks flickered nervously as he leaned against the railing. I still don't like this. The water, it's too quiet, too perfect. I half expect it to explode or something, Cerise snorted. And yet, you're still holding sparks in your hands. That's bravery or stupidity. Maybe both. Alex traced glowing sigils over the deck. The harbour has shown us that courage alone is not enough. Strength without clarity is meaningless. We must use this fire wisely and let it illuminate what truly matters. The silver mist ahead swirled into twisting shapes, giant towers of water, and light rising from the sea like living monuments. Within each form, Mara saw visions of her past years, moments of fear, but also flashes of courage and choice. These were the harbour's final reflection, a reminder that the journey forward would demand not just bravery, but understanding. Prometheus raised his hand, and the flame leapt, weaving through the watery figures. Face what you carry, he instructed, see it, accept it, and let go of what does not serve you. The fire is your guide, but it cannot bear the burden for you. Mara stepped forward, staring into the reflections. Her younger self appeared, trembling and uncertain, and she whispered, I carry the fire, the truth, and my courage. I will not abandon them. Slowly, the silver towers dissolved, leaving a clear corridor toward the glowing horizon. The air was thick with the scent of salt and starlight, and the waves shimmered like molten silver under the lantern's glow. Cerise exhaled. Well, I guess that's our last test. For now, Leo muttered, I'm not complaining. But can we sail faster? I don't like thinking about giant water ghosts. Prometheus' voice lingered in the wind. The empty harbour has released you. But remember, beyond these waters, storms and shadows await. The flame within is your shield, your guide, and your responsibility. Carry it with wisdom, and it will illuminate the path to the horizon's promise. Mara glanced at her companions, Leo, Cerise, and Alex. Together, she said firmly. Through shadow, through doubt, through fear. Together, we walk toward the horizon's promise. The silver waters stretched ahead, calm yet alive, reflecting the radiance of the horizon. The empty harbour faded behind them, silent now, leaving only lessons learned, memories unearthed, and the echo of its bells in their hearts. The journey beyond had begun. The silver mist was thinning, and the horizon ahead shone with an almost tangible radiance. Every ripple of the water reflected not just the starlight above, but fragments of their own souls' fears, doubts, courage, and the promises they carried. Mara stood at the bow, the flame of Prometheus' lantern steady in her hand, its warmth spread through her chest. Anchoring her resolve. Prometheus moved beside her, the flame in his hand glowing brighter as though sensing her readiness. The harbour has tested your hearts, he said softly, and shown you the weight of truth. But the final lesson remains. To carry light into the unknown, one must first accept the shadows within. The fire will guide you, but it will burn anything you refuse to acknowledge. Ceres's gaze was fixed on the shimmering water. Shadows within? Sounds poetic. I just hope they don't try to swallow us, Leo muttered, sparks flickering nervously. Or explode like last time. Alex traced a glowing sigil over the deck. The harbour's final trial is reflection. These waters are a mirror not of what we wish to see, but of what truly is. Our choices, fears, and courage are intertwined. Only by seeing them clearly can we navigate forward. From the silver waters, shapes began to rise massive, twisting forms of liquid light, each an embodiment of memory, loss, and past decisions. They moved slowly, circling the ship, their eyes glowing with recognition. Mara felt a pang of fear, but also a strange serenity. The harbour was not punishing, it was revealing. Prometheus extended his hand, and the flame leapt across the deck, weaving through the figures. Face them, accept what is yours, release what is not. Only then can you move forward with true clarity. Mara stepped closer to the railing, staring into her reflection within the liquid forms. The younger version of herself trembled in fear, and she whispered, I carry my courage, my truth, my heart. I do not abandon them, I embrace them, slowly. The towering water figures dissolved, leaving a luminous path through the silver mist. The air vibrated faintly, the tolling of invisible bells, soft but harmonious, resonating with the rhythm of their hearts. Cerise exhaled. Well, I guess that's our final test. For now, Leo flickered a nervous smile. Yeah, but let's get moving. Open sea, please. Prometheus' voice lingered like a melody in the wind. The empty harbour has released you. Beyond lie storms, choices, and consequences. Your flame is your shield, your guide, and your burden. Carry it wisely, and the horizon's promise will reveal itself. Mara glanced at her companions Leo, Cerise, and Alexandre felt a surge of unity. Together, she said, through shadow, doubt, and fear. Together, we walked toward the horizons. Promise, the empty harbour slowly faded behind them, leaving only the calm silver waters. The stars reflected in the sea as though the universe itself was guiding their path. The bells had fallen silent, but their echo remained in the crew's hearts, a song of courage, wisdom, and the promises they had honored. Mara held the lantern high. The flame burned bright, steady, alive. The harbour's lessons had been learned. The open sea lay ahead, vast, unknown, and radiant. The journey beyond the empty harbour had truly begun. The empty harbour had receded behind them, its spectral mist dissolving like smoke into the night, yet its presence lingered in every ripple of the silver water, in every breath of the wind, in the echo of vanished bells. Mara could feel it pressing lightly against her soul, not as judgment, but as a gentle reminder of what had been learned, what had been faced, and what had been carried forward. Prometheus walked beside her, his flame dancing with the life of its own, illuminating the deck and casting shadows that intertwined with the reflections in the water. The harbour has tested your courage and unity, he said, voice calm yet resonant. Now it is time to see whether you can carry its lessons into the unknown. Fire reveals, but it also burns. Remember that every choice forward will weigh, every decision will have consequence. Mara tightened her grip on the lantern, feeling its warmth echo in her chest. We are ready, she said firmly. The horizon calls, and we carry its fire with us. The silver sea ahead shimmered unnaturally, alive with memory. Towers of water and light rose from its depths, forming twisting columns, each reflecting fragments of the crew's past fears, doubts, regrets, and moments of courage. They were not enemies, Mara realized. They were mirrors. Each form challenged her to confront what she carried within, to embrace it, and to move forward unburdened by denial. Face what you are, Prometheus said softly, flame leaping across the deck, intertwining with the silver reflections. Accept it, and let go of what does not serve you. Only those who carry the fire willingly can walk forward with clarity. Mara saw her younger self trembling in one of the silver forms. I carry the fire, she whispered. I carry truth, courage, and my heart. I embrace them fully. I will not let fear or doubt rule me. The towers of water quivered, shivered, then dissolved into gentle ripples, leaving a luminous path stretching toward the glowing horizon. The air hummed softly, like the final tolling of invisible bells, a quiet benediction of passage, a song of courage and endurance. Cerise exhaled, resting her hand on the hilt of her sword. So, we're finally clear, Leo's sparks flickered. Nervously, I'm not complaining, but... Open water looks terrifying, Prometheus' voice lingered in the mist. The harbour has released you. Ahead lies storms, choices, and consequences. The flame you carry is both guide and burden. Guard it, nurture it, and let it illuminate the path to the horizon's promise. Mara turned to her companions Leo, Cerise, Alex, and felt the weight of their shared trials and victories. Together, she said firmly, through shadow, doubt, and fear, together, we carry the fire. Together, we walk toward the horizon's promise. The silver waters stretched endlessly ahead, calm yet alive, reflecting the radiance of the horizon. The empty harbour faded completely behind them, its bells silent but their echo imprinted in the hearts of the crew. Mara held the lantern high. The flame burned bright, steady, alive, their guide, their shield, their reminder.